evening, everyone. I would like to bring to order the August 21st, 2024 meeting of the Sandwich Conservation Commission. My name is James Andrea, and present tonight are Commissioners
Jeremy Shea,
Cam Murphy, Jonathan Klein,
Bernice Waller.
Before we begin, please note that this meeting is being recorded live and streaming at sandwichtv.org. It is also being broadcast on local channel 9. As such, when speaking, make sure that you use the microphone. I would like to remind everyone of the format followed during all meetings. For all new hearings, the applicant will present for no more than 3 minutes. There will be no crosstalk between opposing sides or members of the public. Applicants will address the board only after being recognized by the chair. You may not interject while the board is deliberating unless asked a specific question. For public comment, you must be recognized by the chair. You have 1 to 2 minutes to state your comments. Please remember this is not a question Q&A forum. Direct your statements to the board, not the applicant. If your comments mimic any other prior comments, please simply state that you agree with the previous speaker and simply refrain from commenting. For enforcement matters, the board will hear the staff first. And finally, I want to remind everyone that this commission is comprised of your neighbors who have given up their time to help protect our town's natural resources. Our job is to ensure that the provisions of the Wetlands Protection Act, as well as the town's bylaws, are upheld. Again, as volunteers, we do this to the best of our ability. We appreciate your understanding. Okay. Moving to new filings, getting started. I'd like to start up with DEP file number SE66-2025. Paul Hajin, care of Down Cape Engineering, filed a notice of intent for a detached garage with an accessory dwelling unit and new septic system at 8 and 10 Cranberry Trail, East Sandwich, Mass., located at maps 48 and 50, parcels 16 and 47. How are we doing?
Good evening. My name is Dan Ojala. I'm a professional land surveyor and civil engineer with Down Cape Engineering in Yarmouth Port. Paul is with me. We feel it's a pretty straightforward little project. This is on Cranberry Trail, which is the very east end of town, almost into Barnstable on the north side. There's high groundwater and wetlands in many places in that area. There's a little dry drainage ditch in the back, a BVW beside it. So what Paul and his wife did was buy a vacant lot next to them, and they're combining it with their lot and just putting in a small ADU. So it's kind of a nice fate for a vacant lot, just using a little bit of it for an accessory dwelling unit. We're maintained a full 50-foot buffer to the wetland. You can see the work limit line goes right along the 50-foot. It's only a shallow dig. There's not a full basement. It's slab on grade. And then we simply have a little tank and pump it over. We're enlarging the septic system on the other side. Now that he's a little over an acre, we can get 4 bedrooms per Title V in a well and septic area. And so we're on the docket to go to the health department to have them review things after this. But generally a pretty clean plan. Again, it's a lot of wetland that's going to be protected, a nice 50-foot buffer, and a small project. We'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
I'd like to open this for public comment. Okay, closing public comment. Now opening it up to the deliberation with the board. Any questions for the applicant?
the project was looking great. When I first was reading it, I was like, they're taking this empty lot, but the fact that it's really getting built on lawn and not like fully into that lot, I was happy to see that. When I was reading the dialect before I got there, I was like, this is a nice little piece of land. So it seems like a good use of the ADU provisions that have come into play.
One question I had was erosion control during and post-project. What are we proposing for that?
So it's an existing gravel driveway, so we'll use that for our construction access. So that by its very nature is already going to be nice and stable. It's a small dig. We'll probably truck out most of the material because it's not a very big site. And then we've got a silt fence work limit line staked right behind it. There's a very gentle slope towards the wetland, but it's quite flat. You can see there's probably 25 feet between 1 foot contours, so not a lot of potential to run off. And we feel that the silt fence will handle that very well.
Any other questions?
What kind of foundation is going underneath the ADU?
So it's a 4-foot frost wall just for the protection, and then we're going to fill it with sand and pour a slab. So it's just a slab foundation. Yeah, there is a foundation in the other house, but, you know, it's got a sump pump, and it's a little bit of a battle, so we're going to just go with slab on grade on this one.
And just to confirm, the garage is going in an area that is all lawn, or is there actually some vegetation that's being removed there? Because I'm just seeing a little line on your plan that's
Yes.
standing for the edge of the lawn.
Yeah, that's correct. The lawn cuts through about the middle of it, and we're right against the driveway, but there's a couple of trees to be cleared right in that area there. But again, it's outside the 50, and it'll allow us to, you know, keep that, you know, good buffer here, but the full 50 behind it. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a mix, but, you know, it's kind of tucked in there as best as we can.
Yeah. Have you coordinated with the contractor on how tight that back limit is to the 50-foot? Because you've got the limit of work will be also along that 50-foot line as well.
Yeah.
Are they comfortable working that tight to the resource without being able to go over it?
Yeah, 100%, because it's only a 4-foot dig, and we're about 5 feet away, 4.5 feet away, so it'll be just fine. We'll certainly remind them of that and make sure that it's staked and is maintained, but that's very feasible, yeah. If it was an 8-foot dig, I'd be a little more concerned.
How much distance do you have back there to the clearance to the resource, do you know?
Yeah, it's 54 and at 0.4 as opposed to 50, so about 4.5 feet, yeah.
4.5 feet.
And that's clear of the wall.
Yeah, so that's enough to fit staging in for when you're doing your siding and things like that.
I would say, yeah, for sure, yeah. It's a small little place, it's not a monster, so I think it'll go up fairly well.
Anything else?
I think it's fine. I think that I think that it has enough benefits. It's properly placed. I don't see any.
I agree.
I guess yours.
Anyone want to take a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to close and approve DEP file number SE 66-2025, Paul Haji in care of Down Cape Engineering for the notice of intent for a detached garage with accessory dwelling unit and new septic system at 8 and 10 Cranberry Trail, East Sandwich, Mass, located at map 48 and 50, parcels 16 and 47.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Yep, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to open new filing, DEP file number SE 66-2026, Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, care of AECOM, filing a notice of intent to improve the existing facilities by installing drinking fountains, updating a rinse station and associated water lines and concrete pads at 20 Scottsdale Beach Road, Sandwich, Map, located at map 44, parcel 001. How are you?
Good, how are you? My name is Jessica Marino. I'm a senior wetland scientist with AECOM representing the applicant, DCR. So it's a fairly simple project. DCR is proposing the installation and addition of 2 drinking water fountains. One is off of the parking lot area adjacent to Canal Street. As you enter Scusset Beach State Reservation, that is in the 100-foot buffer zone to coastal bank associated with the Cape Cod Canal, as well as land subject to coastal storm flowage. The second location where they're installing a drinking water fountain is adjacent to the Perfect Cone snack bar, kind of right on the beach there. There is an existing shower there currently, but it's in pretty rough shape, pretty deteriorated condition. So that shower will be replaced kind of in kind. There won't be the addition of any concrete, expansion of the footprint. That is also within the 100-foot buffer zone to coastal dune and land subject to coastal storm flowage. And then the third location where they're installing the drinking water fountain is sort of in the middle of that campground. There's no water facility there now, so the idea is to make it a little bit easier for campers to, get water, hydrate as they need for RVs. And that location is just within land subject to coastal storm flowage. So there won't be any vegetation clearing, no tree removal. If there's any sort of disturbance post-construction, that will be loamed and seeded with a parkland upland seed mix. And there will be a slight increase in impervious surface just due to the concrete pad underneath the water fountain, but it's fairly negligible. I think it's either 50 or 60 square feet, so fairly straightforward.
Good. I would like to open it up for public comment. Closing public comment, opening it up to the board to deliberate. What are we thinking, guys?
Access to water is great. And less water bottles in our oceans is great. So yay. They're fountains though, not bottle fillers.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Not
So
that
there
we
will
can
be
weigh
a-
in on that, but water
I can relay.
fillers are cooler.
I can relay the
They're
comment.
cooler. Other than that, I think yes, water should be accessible and free.
And it seems like where you guys are gonna chip up the existing concrete pads and then pour new, it seems pretty, it's not taking up any more.
There's no expansion.
Right.
Hardscape.
I guess like one thing maybe to consider would be like maybe an addition of some plantings around the
Okay.
pads, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you like to see the improvement of certain sites, not, you know. But
Do you have any wishes? Because right now it's currently just lawn.
you think, yeah.
It's just lawn.
Right,
It's right by that, well, the first one adjacent to the canal there is separated between, it's lawn and then that bike path that goes kind of by the canal and then just the canal. So right now it's just lawn.
I think my only concern would be the realistic access to this, and if we're putting planting right there, like, is that really appropriate? Are there other
would you-
places to put planting that would?
Recommend maybe sod around the pads, like when, in the disturbed areas and not,
I think when
dry seed?
you mentioned that you're going to be loaming and
Yeah,
seeding,
so-
so that will be a fescue, a native fescue
Yep,
blend?
it'll essentially go back to what it was post-disturbance. And we anticipate most of the access being from paved areas anyway. And the actual work area will be pretty small. As they, trench for those drinking water fountains, DCR plans to put up sort of orange construction orange construction fencing just to keep
yeah.
civilians out.
Yeah,
And then that will be removed along with the erosion controls. And then once construction is complete, we can seed with a native upland grass mix to match what was there.
yeah. I think it's a betterment with the fescue is great.
I love that it's next to that playground. I've been to that playground, and water is definitely it's very open, so the lack of shade, water is good. With the rent station, I assume people don't like bring soap, but has that been a concern when it comes to like wash? Or are there signage that can be like, don't use soap here, just rinse only?
I don't think there's any signage there now. I had gone out and done the actual delineation. I mean, I wasn't looking specifically for that. It is sort of like you step into the shower and then there's a drain that sort of grades down. So I don't anticipate that being a huge issue.
That drain, that shower drain, where does that ultimately go?
It'll go under and connect to sewer,
Okay,
city
so it
sewer.
does connect to sewer, so it's not.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So if somebody did bring soap in, it's not like it's just getting washed into the
Yep.
resource area.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, seems pretty
Just do
straightforward.
like an as discussed
Yeah.
for the motion, you know? Okay. Anyone want to make it?
I'll move to close and approve DEP file number SE 66-2026, Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, care of ACOM, has filed notice of intent to improve the existing facilities by installing drinking fountains, an updated rinse station, associated water lines, and concrete pads at 20 Sussex Beach Road, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 44, parcel 001, with standard and special conditions as discussed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, John.
All right, now I'd like to open new filing, DEP file number SCC 2024D-05. Notice is hereby given Canal Generating LLC, care of Atlantic Design Engineers, has requested, filed a request for determination of applicability for drainage improvements at 9 Freezer Road, Sandwich, Mass., located at map 92, parcel 2. How we doing?
Brendan Reale from Atlantic Design Engineers, representing the applicant, Canal Generating LLC. The proposed work is located on the southeast portion of 9 Freezer Road, which is the location of the canal power plant operated by the applicant. As you can see, the limit of existing conditions shown on the plans is 6.5 acres, and the existing condition survey was completed by Atlantic in November and December of 2023. Also shown on the plans are subsurface utilities, which were located by ground penetrating radar and survey located by Atlantic in March 2024. The RDA is for work within land subject to coastal storm flowage. That's a flood zone AE with a base flood elevation of 14. And wetlands were delineated by TRC Environmental Corporation in 2015, and the closest identified wetlands is located over 100 feet from proposed work. No work is within NHESP Zone 2 interim wellhead protection area or a area of critical environmental concern. So the applicant is proposing this minor drainage improvement to prevent flooding of the training building, which is outlined in purple. The current stormwater runoff is right now contained within the southern detention basin, which drains to the north via existing stormwater piping system and outfalls at the southwest wetland. The southern basin, the existing drainage system, and outfall were all permitted and constructed as part of the plant's expansion project. The existing system is not discharging the water at an adequate rate, causing the southern basin to overflow and flood the training building. The proposed improvement will create a more direct drainage line by constructing a new outlet within the southern basin, subsurface drain to the north of the training building, and catch basins within the parking lot. Drainage improvements will tie into the existing system to the west, utilize the same outfall to the southwestern wetlands. There'd be no increase in discharge to that outfall, no significant increase in impervious area, and no impact to other resource areas besides land subject to coastal storm flowage. Erosion controls are proposed to the south of the access drive and also in the existing catch basins. Any questions?
I'd like to open it for public comment. All right, I'd like to close for public comment. Open it up to the board to deliberate.
I mean, since it's really a heavily developed, industrial area, and land subject to coastal storm flowage doesn't have any specific conditions tied to it within the town bylaw, I would be comfortable with issuing a negative.
One, I believe.
I wouldn't say a -1 because land subject to coastal storm flowage is still technically part of the Wetlands Protection Act, but I would say a -2 in that it's subject to protection under the Act, but it's not going to alter the area and therefore does not require a filing of an NOI.
I'm very comfortable with that.
The whole project, I'm torn with. It's a lot of paving. They're having flooding problems because of all the paving that's there and dumping it into a wetland. So inherently, from that side of me, I think that's the existence of it in and of itself is not a great thing. So that's my thoughts there. Is there other things that could be done besides just capturing the water and discharging it? Are there other ways to handle the pavement? That would be what I would, that would be it's a
Outside of our
preference.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree.
Yeah, when we're talking about heavy rain events, is that water, we're next to a plant that probably has a lot of fuel fuel? Like, is there oily sheens on that water?
No, all the fuel is self-contained, and the main issue and why it's a detention basin versus an infiltration basin or something to try to catch water and obviously infiltrate it on site is because of the high groundwater at the site, which is also influenced by tides. So, there's not the space to infiltrate that water in, and that's why it's held in a detention basin and then moved to the outfall location.
So in theory, a high tide plus large storm would cause a significant amount of.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue they're running into right now. And but the main issue with the system, from what we can see, is that if you can see in the orange, basically there's a outlet structure, and that directs the water north. That section that is going north through the building it has a hydraulic head that has to basically go uphill, and that's basically allowing all the water to rise in the basin before it's even able to start moving west. The proposed system doesn't have to go uphill. It's pretty flat on that side of the site, and it's more direct.
Okay. Well, I think we can issue a -2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll make a motion to issue a -2 determination for DEP file number SCC 2024D-05, Canal Generating LLC, care of Atlantic Design Engineers, for the request for determination of applicability for drainage improvements at 9 Freezer Road, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 92, parcel 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to move on to continued filings. We'd like to open DEP file number SE 66-2022, Brian Albano, care of GeoCape Environmental Consultants, who filed a notice of intent to raise and replace a dwelling and install a 4-bedroom septic system at 7 Barbara Lane, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 70, parcel 140. Is that continued?
Yes, it was 7 Barbara. They just needed the driveway to be pervious and the limit of work to be shown on the revised plans, and the fence, the wattle fence, which they submitted.
You guys got to review those plans? It looks good? Okay. Anything else? Just remember the notes on that one. I didn't think I had any besides those two, so,
Yeah,
all right.
they did what they should do.
Okay, then we can close and approve. Who wants to make a motion?
Motion to close and approve DEP file number SE 66-2022, Brian Albano, care of GeoCape Environmental Consultants, has filed a notice of intent to raise and replace a dwelling and install a 4-bedroom septic system at 7 Barbara Lane, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 70, parcel 140.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moved. All right. I'd like to make a motion to open DEP file number SE 66-2023, Marion Sullivan, care of March Mathers Environmental, notice of intent for construction of a garage, 2-story apartment, and replacement of a septic tank at 148 Route 6A, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 73, parcel 76-0. What's up? How are you?
Chairman, how are you? I'm well. How's everybody?
Oh, I almost moved the next one. I saw you go.
There we go. All right. Yes, so my name is Mike Ball from Marsh Mathers Environmental, representing the applicant Marion Sullivan of Sullivan & Sullivan Auctioneers. We're back. We were before you initially a bunch of weeks back, proposing 24 by 36 garage on a paved parking area. And the main discussion was around improving stormwater management, if you recall. So we did, discuss with the engineer what would be the best practice to install here. And so what he came up with is an infiltrator trench, which would run along the back edge of the parking lot. If you've not seen the plans, I did do a color up, if you don't have it in
I'll
front of you.
take one.
May I?
Anyone?
This is just,
Thank you.
Sorry.
Great, so the proposed project is in pink, so that's the footprint of the building. We initially filed the site plan to include 2 dry wells, which are those colored donuts coming off the opposite corners of the building. So those were our initial stormwater management features. And so the infiltrator trench, which is detailed on the second page of the handout, is what was actually used not far from here on Liberty Street for another property, according to Engineering Works. And basically, it's just a 12-inch deep gravel trench that you run along the pavement. It intercepts any stormwater that comes across, and just allows fines and more coarse material to settle out in that trench before it gets to a low point and then discharges down into the wetland. It's called an intercepting trench. It looks like it's I'm not an engineer, I didn't design it, but it looks like a pretty simple practice for this particular situation. Just as you recall, there's not much width between the edge of the pavement and the top of that little slope, which is a steep slope down to the Phragmites Marsh down there. So I think with that added, I do believe we've kind of met that improved conditions on the site as required under a redevelopment project in the riverfront area. So be happy to answer any questions.
I'd like to open it for public comment. Closing public comment, opening it up to the board to discuss. Okay, any questions?
Seems like this is an improvement over what was.
I would say so.
originally submitted. And
Mike, any proposed, I didn't see it, but any proposed plantings where remember we had seen the picture that was on the original plans of that little cutout? Remember, that's where all the water was going? Did we want to throw, with the improvement of the trench, now something might work there?
On the slope itself?
Yes.
There's nothing shown on the plan.
I think, yeah, maybe adding, what was native there was grasses already.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I got a good picture of it.
That was pretty much where all the water was going. That's why they couldn't survive.
Yeah, let's see. I don't think. Part of it is pictured in this
Yes.
picture right here. I think there might be a little scour right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I see no problem with.
Adding that, yeah.
With adding that.
Replanting that, is.
Yeah, just supplementing the plants. So I'm assuming you mean more than just adding grass, but probably
Right.
something that might be appropriate for
That area, yeah.
Yeah, is this something that would require a plan revision that you'd need to see at another hearing, or could it be something we could include as a condition? What are you comfortable with?
We could condition it.
Yep.
Yeah, we could condition that, yeah.
Up to you guys.
I could always send something to Dave DeCanto,
Right.
just and say if
Yeah.
he thinks that's.
I would
Now-
say that what we would want to do is condition it such that, mitigation plantings are required with a planting list to be provided to DNR for
Right.
approval prior to
Right.
any planting.
And this would be of your expertise with that water that's stopping at the trench.
Right.
And then it's designed to just kind of flow over if it fills up on a large rain. Is that going to destroy any of the current plants that are there, like water logging, or is it enough slope to just keep going? Are we
Yeah,
going to see a bunch of plants dead because there's too much?
Right, so I think the way it's gonna work is because that paved edge is on a slight slope.
Yeah.
So any water that comes off that pavement will flow to the east, find the low point, and then
Bubble over, yeah.
go over. So I think it would be a pretty focused area where we can add plants.
Right. And that would survive, That's-
Oh, yeah,
Perfect, yeah.
That'd be,
Yeah.
we can definitely find some plants. Yeah.
So I just have a question just on the basic site plan. The deck and the stairs that you're putting on the rear of the building, those are extending over the existing edge of the pavement, is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
Are they extending over the existing trees that are in that area? The trees are not located. My question is really with regard to, what are your plans for handling those trees, which their canopy will be in conflict with the building of this building?
Yeah, I think it's a line of Norway maples along that edge, but there may be some other species there. We're not proposing removal of any trees, but
What are you proposing to do to get the tree, I mean, there is canopy over this paving
Right.
where this building will be going. So has there been any, do you have any procedures or anything that's discussing what you're going to be doing to those trees?
yeah, I can see them in the corner on that picture right there. I think it would just be anything that would be touching the building. You wouldn't want to be touching any wood, and so I think it would be limbing any branches that would be encroaching on top of the building.
Yeah, I think that what I've seen in the past on projects is that you have trees that are very close to a building. They become inherently a structural issue. The applicants come back, ask for the trees to be removed because they're too close. There's not much you can do about that. In this case, we're basically allowing for that argument to be set up. Also, allowing for a good amount of the mass of those trees, albeit Norway and invasive species trees. They are there, their habitat. The application just doesn't address that for me, so that's where that's just something that I wanted to bring up. Because the deck is going over it, the tree canopy is already there. I feel like there should be something that addresses those trees. Either be it through some kind of mitigation, removal of those trees, and incorporation of other planting that are more native, perhaps to support. There's going to be some significant impact to the tree that I think that we cannot ignore.
What I'd suggest is, as with all projects that commence, you've got to have that on-site meeting once the work limits are established. Normally it would be Josh would come out and meet me and we'd look at the project. That might be the time to kind of assess what needs to be done when we have that meeting with Dave or whoever, with myself, with probably Pete McEntee and the actual contractor, I think is Wegman. And maybe at that time we could decide what exactly needs to be removed from each tree. I don't think tree removal's necessary, but I can't 100%
Right.
guarantee that. So in that case, we'd at that time could possibly maybe submit a request to do a minor plan change. Obviously the next step would be a request to amend
Yeah.
in order, if something needed to be added.
Yes, if that came through, we would then be requesting.
You could just maybe put any trees that are removed or in place in kind, you can special condition it, that are any of the trees that are removed in the process are replaced in kind, either, 2 foot on center?
Well, for the
or,
maturity of those trees, I'd say would probably go for if you did one, you'd go for a 2.
I think it would be like you said, James, because of the size of those trees, it would be something I think would need to be reviewed before
Right.
anything
Absolutely.
is removed.
Yeah.
I think the problem in this case with tree replacement is there's just no room.
Right.
So
Those things are
the
huge.
next step would be, in lieu of a tree replacement, you mitigate that with a mass of shrubs in an open area. I just knowing that pavement's right there, trees.
Right.
Overhang. I just don't think there'd be a place to put a tree as part of mitigation, but maybe
I think-
understory.
I think that that's true, that those trees are kind of, they're taking up the space of this building right now, and that's it. With the building, there is no space for those trees. I think that is the point that I wanted to make sure was not lost on this application, that there is more of an impact than just drainage. And that would be something that I would want to be addressed. I don't necessarily feel comfortable also with the thought that we're saying that the agent, who quite frankly right now we don't have, is going to be able to address this for us. I would have wanted the application to be more mindful on this particular reality, because it is a reality. We all know it's gonna happen. We don't need to go there and stand and say, well, yes, there is in fact a conflict with what we're trying to build and these trees that we knew are there. And so I would just be asking for a game plan, a realistic game plan for how you're going to build this building, keep those trees there, side this building, not damage those trees so much that they then become structurally unstable. And that would be something that I'd want to see before I would even be comfortable with the application moving forward.
Yeah, if we know it's gonna happen, why wait to happen, and we can address it before the project
Right.
starts?
That's-
And then everyone knows what to do as the project's commencing, of like, all right, this tree needs to get removed. We have already talked about if there's a tree removal, what plantings are gonna go in place of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think with any good design team, with a arborist and a good builder, you'd probably be able to come back and let us know what the real realities are of that, what you would want to see. I think that there is a case for having those trees removed because they are invasive Norway maples. I think the inherent loss to the environment is that that is still considered habitat. Currently, if we were to request mitigation under those trees, it will not grow. There's a toxin that those trees put out that really makes it very difficult for things to grow under it. That's likely why the Phragmites hasn't gotten all the way in there to date. So I would like to see some more reality on that, especially because you are extending past that edge of paving with the deck structure, and there is a conflict there with trees. The trees are also not located on the plan.
Yeah, I agree. They aren't shown.
So that's it.
Okay. Well, with that said, Mike, we can continue and then to the next meeting and bring that plan and see what we can do with those.
I think I can just have a meeting with the engineer, maybe the builder, and kind of have a look up and just say what's reality here, and if he just needs to come back and locate those trunks.
Yeah.
So it's clear, because
Perfect.
they're not shown there, so we'll just, if we can continue for the next meeting, whenever that is.
Yep.
September 4th, I think.
Okay. All right, we can do a motion for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to continue filing DEP file number SE 66-2023. Marion Sullivan, care of Marsh Matters Environmental, has fired a notice of intent for construction of a garage with a second-story apartment and replacement of a septic tank at 148 Route 6A, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 73, partial 760, continued to September 4th meeting.
Second.
What was the date again, I'm sorry?
September 4th.
First meeting in September.
Yep.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who seconded that? Was
I did.
Cameron?
Okay, I'd like to open up filing DEP file number SE 66-2024, Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, care of Comprehensive Environmental, filed a notice of intent to extend a concrete generator platform with roof and downspouts, 146 Route 6A, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 43, parcel 19-001.
That one, they resubmitted their plans with the erosion controls shown on it.
Perfect. You guys, I saw that. It looks,
I mean, it looks
really
good. The wetland is very clearly delineated with the erosion control outside of the
Right.
resource area, so.
Above and beyond with that, so. Perfect. Okay. I think we can close and approve as discussed. I believe we talked about upgrading that erosion control from 8-inch to 12-inch.
Yep, and they did note that on the plan.
Perfect. So, all right.
Looks great.
A motion?
I'll make a motion to close and approve DEP file number SC 66-2024, Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, care of Comprehensive Environmental, Inc., which filed a notice of intent to extend a concrete generator platform with roof and downspouts at 164 Route 6A, Sandwich, Mass, located at map 43, parcel 19-001.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moved. Okay. I'd like to open DEP file number SE 66-2008, Keith Spargo, care of AM Wilson Associates. Filed a revised after-the-fact notice of intent to maintain as-built features in place and in kind, but not limited to house, garage, driveways, retainage, paths, patios, gardens, and landscaping, and permit and maintain an above-ground pool and access deck at 483 Route 6A, East Sandwich, Mass, located at map 53, parcel 006.
Good evening. Arlene Wilson, A.M. Wilson, here for Mr. Spargo. The last meeting at which you took testimony on this was June 26th, and we had a site visit on July 24th. So this is an above-ground pool placed in an area that was previously lawn and is surrounded by lawn. It's 44 feet from the Phragmites Marsh to the north and 64 feet from the wooded swamp to the east, which is not on the Spargo's land. It's also in an AE flood zone. The pool's serviced by a professional company at the beginning of the season to open it and check on the mechanicals, and then again by the professional company at the end of the season to close. Mr. Spargo does water testing regularly himself with commercially available strips. The chlorine levels kept between 2 and 5 parts per million, which DEP says is drinkable. And they use dry chlorine tablets to maintain the chlorine levels. Pool's covered with a watertight cover in the off-season. There's a sand filter which they backwash about every 6 weeks through the season. For those of you who came to the site, that backwash water is held in a rain barrel, watertight rain barrel, generally for at least a couple of days to let whatever chlorine is dissipate. And then they use it for irrigation on their plantings around the house. Let's see what else. You asked for some additional information about the structural integrity of the pool. We provided catalog information and confirmed that the state building code sets standards for liners and the ribbing support for these pools. You can't sell them in Massachusetts unless they meet the standards. So I think that probably takes care of that. They have asked for a deck with some stairs to curve around the backside for access purposes. Right now, they use a ladder. Apparently, if you approve a deck for access, it will be stick-built on the site. They don't have a plan for it yet. It would be either post-supported with sonotubes or with small helical piles that put some erosion control around the area before it's built. The holes, if they use sonotubes, they'll be hand dug, and any excess material will be removed from the site. If the pool ever requires to be totally emptied, they're happy to get a truck and have it hauled off-site. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Is there any public comment? Okay, closing public comment, opening out to the board.
It seems like everything that we requested has been met. The one thing I would say is that we want to condition it such that the footings for the deck need to be helical screw piles and not sono tubes, because it was delineated or checked off that is delineated as coastal dune on the WPA Form 3. So
I'm sorry, Cam, I wasn't following you.
we would condition it such that the footings for the deck have to be helical piles and not sono tubes,
Okay.
just to keep that hardscape out of the coastal dune resource area.
I thought everything else looked, Sean?
Yeah, we actually did a visit of it.
Yep.
Yeah, were you there with us?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that this property didn't have any kind of record on it before, right?
That's correct.
Right, I think that the big benefit of this is that now we do have a record of it, so you can see the extent of the build-out.
Definitely, and having that NOI on file for it, you know, if
It
the
is
property were to
helpful.
change hands, it's very clear that it is within jurisdictional area.
Yeah, my only thought, this was a little bit of a hard one for me, because it is an above-ground structure. It's not forever. Its durability is much far less than an in-ground. I think the contamination from the water is minimal. The homeowner is keeping it like impeccably clean and well-maintained. I wouldn't really worry about it. It is in a lawn area. So I'm comfortable with the application, mostly from a point of now we have a record of what's there and we can move forward with that, with new applications. And now they know, correct, that any work in their backyard has to be approved. Right.
Yes.
With the exception of any hole that Betty might dig.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, then we can do a motion to close and approve.
All right. I'll make a motion to close and approve DEP file number SE 66-2008, Keith Spargo, care of AM Wilson Associates, for the revised after-the-fact notice of intent to maintain as-built features in place and in-kind, but not limited to house, garage, driveways, retainage, path, patios, gardens, and landscape, and permit and maintain an above-ground pool and access deck at 483 Route 6A, East Sandwich, Mass., located at map 53, parcel 6, with standard and special conditions as discussed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to open it up for COC, so just open them up like a regular filing.
Yep, yeah.
I'd like to open original filing DEP, file number SE 66-1876, Michael Weldon, care of EAS Survey, Inc., and file a notice of intent for the proposed repair to a Title V compliant septic system at 160 North Shore Boulevard, East Sandwich, Mass., located at map 71, parcel 6. So then we do a motion to,
Forgive me, we actually don't need to open it up. So basically, just take a vote on the COCs because we're
Okay.
not opening it
So
back up. So
since in Dave's notes, it was recommended that all COCs be approved, right?
yep.
Do you want to just like take the motion? Well, I don't think we can do them in batches. We do have to do them individually. But if you want to just like instead of opening, just make the motion and then
Yeah,
and
okay.
then it's done.
Make the motion to close and approve, and
Make
then,
the motion to issue the COC.
okay, sorry. All right, I'd like to make a motion to issue the COC original filing, DEP file number SE 66-1876, Michael Weldon, care of EAS Survey, Inc., file the notice of intent for the proposed repair for a Title V compliant septic system at 160 North Shore Boulevard, East Sandwich, Mass., located at map 71, parcel 6. All in favor?
Second.
Oh, sorry, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to close and approve,
just issuing a COC.
I'm sorry, issue the certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 66-1983, Sebastian Gonzalez, care of Marsh Matters Environmental, file the notice of intent to raise and rebuild a single-family home and install a new Title V septic system at 262 Old County, Sandwich, Mass., located at map 31, parcel 44.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 66-1505, AM John J. Bassano et al., care of Von Hone Associates, notice of intent, upgrade this existing failed septic system to Title V septic in leach field at 34 Salt Marsh Road, Sandwich, Mass., located at map 77, parcel 22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'd like to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 66-594, Stanley Torrey, care of BSC Group, notice of intent to construct a 14-lot open space cluster subdivision to include construction of roads, placement of utilities, creation of wildlife ponds, and placing drainage control structure within wetland resource areas at Goose Point Lane, East Sandwich, Mass., located at map 34, parcel A1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 66-791, Stanley Torrey, care of BSC Group, notice of intent to construct 14 open lot space, is that a repeat? No, it's not. Cluster subdivision to include construction of roads, placement of utilities, creation of wildlife ponds, and placing drainage control structure within wetland resource areas at Goose Point Lane, East Sandwich, Mass., located at map 63, parcel 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 66-941, Gerald Goldstein, care of Walter P. Oldman Associates, a notice of intent to demolish a fire-damaged house, replace it with a new dwelling that will be placed on a timber pile foundation at map 70, parcel 114-02A, located at 145 North Shore Boulevard, Unit 2, East Sandwich, Mass.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 66-1896, Paul Chico, care of Marsh Matters, environmental notice of intent for proposed raise and rebuild of a single-family home with a septic system replacement at map 74, parcel 45, located at 17 Dewey Ave, Sandwich, Mass.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Nice.
Any other business?
I'm gonna have you guys sign one for 164 Route 6A. I have a old chair on there. Just give me 1 second.
Would we like to approve those minutes? Are those all set?
Yeah, it's just the 626. I believe.
Okay, not the 7/17. Anyone want to make a motion for those?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 26, 2024 meeting of the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Then close and approve the whole meeting?
Ooh, I have other business.
Yeah.
There's some other business in.
Yes.
When I came for my Conservation Commission interview, it was January 3rd, and I also was bringing the request to maintain the stone walls of Greenbrier, which I've been working on. It's going slow, and I've found some interesting tidbits about Sandwich history, namely Discovery Hill Road, which I think has come into the news of late, with the southern part potentially having some developments there at the end of the industrial park. Is part where it's north of Greenbrier is part of it was called the Berkshire to Cape Trail. Really?
Oh, really?
And it was this attempt in really during the Great Depression to increase tourism in Massachusetts, where they're working on a trail that spanned from New York State to Sandwich. And so I found it on some old maps. I've been working on the southern end of Discovery Hill before you hit the highway. And it is running along one of the stone walls there. And there's an interesting, the road actually continues to where the trail went up to the high school. But the other piece I brought forward that night was the proposal to do a hike across Sandwich. And 2 weeks ago I did that. I hiked across Sandwich. I started at the Sagamore Inn. There's one of the corners of Sandwich that were placed in 1884. There are 24 granite pillars at all the corners. So there's one right in front of the Sagamore Inn on 6A. It's the largest one. It's carved on either side. One side is S for Sandwich. The other side is Bourne. It's when they split Bourne from Sandwich in in 1884. So when they split it, the town placed all these markers, which interestingly, one of the boulders, because they're these granite markers, I found some of the boulders they cut those posts from up at the end of Discovery Hill, and then another one that's now in Sean Kroll. But the hike, it was 16 miles. It took me about 7 hours, and it was 11 and a half miles on conservation land. And I think for me, like growing up in Sandwich, there was a whole lot of areas that I'd never been to, and really deserve like some applause for like the New England Mountain Bike Association has been like amazing trail builders, which I hadn't realized to the extent to which their trails are. But it's something that I think would be fun in next year to introduce to the public. The Vineyard does this every year where they do a hike across the Vineyard and they use it to showcase different conservation lands, and people can jump on and jump off.
Right.
But I think it would be, I had a blast. Like, it was so much fun. There was only one real section, essentially from Lawrence Pond down towards Mashpee Wakeby was kind of the longest stretch on roads, but everything else was maybe like a quarter mile on a road, and then I'd get back into the woods. So I think it's something like that might be fun for us as a commission to, looking ahead to next year, like promote as an event to get some attention to our public lands, because, like Sean Kroll is amazing. Their trails are
Yeah,
awesome.
they
They
are.
have a bench at every intersection.
Yeah, it's like the cinder block bench with the 4x4s, right?
Yeah. So it's like, all right, you don't know where to go, like take a seat and you can think about it. And there was like excellent birds out there. And I mean, Sean Kroll took the land, the state took the land after a forest fire. And the state was like, Sandwich, you can't maintain your forest. We're going to do it for you. And then most of the state forests get turned into the base. But where the park is, I mean, it's really beautiful, excellent land. So I think looking ahead, it might be a fun project for us to engage in. So, because there's so many like conservation groups around the Cape have a really good job of like with maps and signage and things. And I think that's one thing certainly in Sandwich we could improve upon, of when people get to like Greenbrier, where are the maps? Like they just Josh put in some great posts with names. So thinking like, how can we get more people out there? Because literally I ran into one person.
Yeah.
7 hours of walking, and it was in the last quarter mile. So I was like, all right, like these places are great, but we want some more people out. And then I don't know, like I don't know if we put in the record. Like I think I'm gonna miss Josh. Like he was such a great person, and he cared about the land for this town. And personally, like I was really saddened when I saw that he was gone. I think he did such a great service. So I don't know if we can like formally like commend him for his service or wish him well, but
Motion to commend Josh's tenure.
yeah.
6 years, 7 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a while, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're watching, Josh, thank you.
Yeah, Josh. Shout out. But that's all I got.
Awesome.
Yeah. Get my cape.
All right, well, I would like to take a motion to, are we all set, Josh?
We're good. We're good.
Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting of September 4th at 7:28 p.m. on August 22nd, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. I don't think I signed any of these. What'd you think?
Yeah.